Hello and welcome to NCI Technologies and Microsoft's presentation on using Office 365 Teams live events. Today we're joined by Molly Rapsam from Microsoft, who will be presenting our session shortly. Just as a little introduction, my name's James from NCI Technologies, and as today's event is a recorded event rather than a live event, we won't have a questions and answers session at the end of today's recording. So any questions, please do feel free to reach out to myself using my email address, which is jscott@ncitech.co.uk. These details will be available at the end of the presentation. Over to you, Molly.
Thanks, James. Hi all, many thanks and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Molly and I am the Senior Modern Workplace BDM on the SureStep team at Microsoft. Today we'll be going through how to create a Teams live event. So what are Microsoft Teams live events? You can go beyond your regular Teams group face-to-face meetings and broadcast an event to your entire business or externally to your customer base. For example, on the SureStep team, we run webinars such as this in conjunction with our partners to inform them and their end users about feature sets and service updates. What you may have noticed is when coming onto this Teams live event is that you didn't get an option to add your video and that your microphone is muted. That is because this is a one-to-many broadcast, meaning those hosting the event have complete control, so there won't be any interruptions from background noise and audible questions at inconvenient times. And finally, you can watch it live, so you can get involved in the Q&A or watch the recording after the event. The benefit of Teams live events. So you can broadcast an event up to 10,000 people. You can deliver content across your own organisation or to others, whether that be announcements or training. The event can be watched live or by recording, and to make the events more accessible, you can actually apply captions, timelines, and take advantage of auto-generated transcripts. You can even, as an attendee, pause and rewind the live feed in case you missed any important points, and then you can return to the live feed again. So to set up a live event, it's the same as scheduling a meeting in Teams. From your calendar in Teams, go to New Meeting in the top right-hand corner and select Live Events from the drop-down box. Now you need to give your event a name. The location field is if you need to book a meeting room from where you would be hosting that event. Then you would pick the date and time. I would recommend that you also book an extra half-an-hour slot for those presenting to get prepared to ensure your Wi-Fi and your camera is setting up and is working. It will also give you a chance to work on any last-minute preparation. Add a description so those attending know what to expect from the session. And then you need to decide who will be producing and presenting the event. So I'll go into the roles in a little more detail a little bit later on, but you can add multiple people here, but it should only be those who are actually hosting or participating in the event, whether that be shared content or managing the Q&A. Attendees are invited later on in the process, which we will also go through. You get the option of limiting who can attend the event to just those who have the invite. So for an example, an event that is directed at maybe internal staff, across the organisation perhaps with an org-wide announcement, or publicly, so anyone with the link can attend. Like this webinar showing how to use Teams live events, we have sent you the link. You can also manage whether the event is recorded and who the recording is available to. So if selected, a recording is available to download up to 180 days after the event. If you do find that something went wrong with the recording, such as a technical issue that meant that the event couldn't continue, you can delete the recording via stream. Another great feature is captions, which improves the accessibility of your broadcast, including translation of up to 6 languages. Attendee engagement report will track attendee participation. You can also decide whether the attendees can interact with producers and presenters in a moderated Q&A. And finally, you get the options for whether you are using an external AV equipment and to add a support URL if your organisation has one. Once complete, hit schedule. So once the event is set, you now have an attendee link. This link can be sent via email, a calendar invite, or even a Teams post. If you do need to amend the event, ensure that you do this from Teams itself and not from your Outlook calendars. So now let's have a look at the roles and the responsibilities of how producers and presenters participate in a Teams live event. I have highlighted the differences between both, but essentially the producer has control over everything that the presenter does, but with more control over the feed and important tasks such as starting and stopping the event. The Teams live event has been scheduled, a link has been generated, and the invites have been sent out. Once the event has arrived, it is time to prepare. Your event is being recorded, and you may have selected for it to be shared, meaning that once the event is over, the recording will be shared across all attendees. It is best to come prepared to avoid any errors, as these will be sent out after the recording. That includes making sure you test all of your equipment, including the camera and the microphone. Audio is the most important part of a great event, and some people would just listen to it with its browser on in the background. Avoid using the computer mic, as you will pick up background noises and even create a feedback loop. A second monitor will be useful for increasing your workspace, enabling you to share content from the second monitor whilst producing from the first. And checking your lighting and background. You can even blur your background, select one from the presets, or upload your own. As for lighting, we recommend being by a window with lots of natural light. And test your connection. Check that your internet connection is stable and that you have a backup plan, such as a Wi-Fi dongle. And finally, have a practice run with a small group of people to ensure the flow of your presentation and all of the points above are working. Everyone knows their roles, and to familiarise yourself with the process. So when practicing, run events as rehearsals. Watch the attendee experience live and on demand. Learn the systems well, so producers don't have to solve problems during that live event. It is good to have more than one producer in the event who also has access to the content being presented. The reasoning for this is because if the first producer has a network outage and can no longer continue, the second producer can easily pick up where the last one left off without any major disruptions. Writing talking tracks or scripting the content as best as you can helps you make sure that you land all the points you want to, and it ensures smooth delivery. And remember, speak slowly and pause at each slide transition in case there is a delay on the attendees' side. Do not click the end live event until you are completely finished. Once you click end, you cannot restart the event. Make sure the Teams invite is for internal/participants only, not attendees. Only the organizer can add or remove speakers. Forwarding the email doesn't work, as it's an event and the speaker list is predefined by that organizer. And read through your content ahead to check it's relevant, up to date, and it flows. When you are producing a live event, this is the screen you will see. From here, you can alter some settings like add auditorium mode, which will allow attendees to hear things like laughter and applause from the live audience. So let's take a look at the autonomy of the screen you can see. Right. Firstly, you can see, as per the broadcast status, that we are in pre-live mode, so we can prepare and check everything is working ahead of time. At the bottom of the screen, this is where your available content can be seen. It may be the presenter's camera or a PowerPoint slide, for example. If I double-click that, it will then appear on the left-hand window so that I can preview the content to check everything is in order. If I would like my slides to be the main image but still include a thumbnail of my camera, I can toggle that feature with the icons just below the window. On the right-hand side, you currently see the live event has not yet started. When I am happy with the content, I can press Send Live, which will then pass that content to the right-hand pane. This is what will be broadcasted. Then Start will be highlighted, and when you are ready, press that and your live event will begin. From now, any content you queue on the left, you can now press Send Live and it will then replace the current live image. You could broadcast a welcome slide while you are setting up for a customised and more welcoming greeting for those attending early. If at any point you stop sharing the live video, you will see live event will resume in a moment screen. Make sure whoever introduces the webinar mentions the Q&A to encourage questions. What you may want to consider is to nominate a producer or presenter who are single-handedly responsible for managing the Q&A. Alternatively, you may want to leave all your questions until the end, so you can answer them live. It is not recommended that you are producing the slides and answering the questions at the same time. Q&A is the text only. You cannot unmute attendees. When a question is asked by an attendee, it appears in the new list. It cannot be seen until you publish it. However, you can still answer the questions without publishing them if the user would like to remain anonymous. Generally, if there are questions about the content and not "I can't hear," I publish them straight away and answer them. However, this all depends on the questions being asked. Once you have completed the event, you can always analyse the engagement and send a link to the recording to those who have attended. This is how to run a Teams live event. Thank you for your time today, and please check the links below for more information. A recording of the webinar will be available. Now to hand back to James.
Thank you very much, Molly, for doing today's presentation. As I said at the beginning of today's session, it's a recorded session, and we have no Q&A running for today's session. So if you have any questions regarding today's recording, please do reach out to me using the details on the screen now. I'd like to thank Molly very much for presenting for us.